hang on, you don't need to get up and down. I will, because you're the one that starts. Good morning. Hang on. We're early. We have a new toy, a new light, so we need to adjust a lot. Wow! Go over on your side more. So we came in early, like over here. So we came in early so we could make these technical adjustments without being live having coffee. But if you're watching the replay, I'm sorry you get all of this junk. Wow. Why is it so dark behind you? Good morning.
Fix my beard.
Let you stay there. Let me adjust this to you. So go ahead and say who we are and all that because somebody's already in there. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? We're Amber and Timmy, and of course I'm Timmy and she's Amber. And we're two of the five that moved from the city and the hustle and bustle and moved off grid in the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. And here we are this morning to come to you live and have a little coffee and conversation and tell you about what we got going on, and hopefully we'll get some feedback. So, good morning.
Does that look better? I mean, it's in your face, but does it look better on screen?
It's all right. Yeah, you can see me.
Okay. Good morning.
Here we
So
are.
we got 2 minutes. Wow. Don't like that light. So we got a new light because the house is so dark because we live off grid and we don't have a lot of light. And so
Especially today. It's
we've got cloudy and there's going to be 50% chance of rain today, which is nuts.
50%. It's half and half.
But we needed it. We've been in a drought, which is funny because it's feast or famine here. You either have rain nonstop or you have drought conditions. And we're in that we've had a drought, which is horrible because we're trying to fill up our pool with our rainwater.
And our mud's starting to crack.
Yeah, our mud's starting to crack. Speaking of, have you put any water down at the grounding rods for the electric fence?
No.
And then you were supposed to do it by the solar panels too.
Y'all remind me of that, I think.
Sorry, to-do list. That's kind of what we do. So oh my goodness. Please don't tell me.
What?
I wrote our menu out today with a Sharpie on my dry erase board. Bugger! Oh, well, I was waiting for 8 o'clock this morning. I'm like, oh, honey, let's go over our menu for the week, what we want to eat for dinner.
Is that metal?
Yeah.
Oh, we can get it off.
And I wrote with a Sharpie instead of my dry erase marker. Can you see how I made that mistake? I haven't had coffee yet. And I wrote with a permanent marker on my dry erase board what we're eating for dinner this week.
Yeah, we'll get it off.
How?
We'll figure it out.
Dadgummit. Booger.
It's a lack of center.
It will ruin it, won't it? Hang on, let me spray with alcohol. You go ahead and talk. Because I'll sit here and think about this entire time.
It's all right.
It's so funny that we started out talking about. Good morning, by the way, y'all. I'm sorry if we're early and you're always on time, and now we're early instead of being late. It's just we're still trying to figure out this going to Sunday school on Sundays or Bible school before church, and it came out. Rubbing alcohol to the rescue. I feel so much better now. Now I can focus and have coffee. I wouldn't have been able to focus earlier. Well, you can still kind of see it though. Oh well. Amber knows himself. I need to mark my Sharpie. I need to mark my marker so it don't.
Well, just keep in mind, anytime you want to put something on it and you don't want it to get rubbed off, use a Sharpie.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you can clean it off with alcohol.
I don't know what the thing. I can still see it on there. You know how when you were a kid and you erased the chalkboard, you could still see it unless you wet it down?
No, our teachers made us clean the chalkboard very, very good.
Well, at the end of the day, but during the day you didn't wet it. You had to wet it at the end of the day. Go out and clap them, and we're sitting here breathing all that dust. Poor little kids that came in after doing that, their whole face was all chalky. Can you imagine the lawsuits now if teachers made them do that because of all the asthma and allergies and everything else?
No, couldn't does.
Anyhow.
They don't even have chalkboards anymore.
They don't. It's all electronic.
Yeah.
Sit up straight.
Computer.
Do you know you could make your own chalk out of eggshell? Because it's calcium.
Oh, really?
I actually shared a recipe on my website about how to make chalk with eggshell.
Food for thought.
In case you don't have that 50 cents that a box of chalk costs, you can save eggs for a couple months, eggshells, and wash them and rinse them and then dehydrate them and then put them in the blender and blend them all up and put them in.
Times are tough.
But, okay, let's talk about prepping. If it's, that time and you can't get a store to buy pens, pencils, yada, 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 you make your own chalk.
Yeah.
It's a good skill to have, like making lye from ashes. You don't want to have to do it, but if you had to do it, you'd know how. There we go. Anyhow.
I'm good.
Are you good? You got the knowledge for the day? So it's 8, we can officially start. Hang on. It's 8:02. We're late.
We're late.
Anyway, so good morning. And I don't know who's here, if you're here for the very first time, or if you are joining us, if you're glutton for punishment and you're back again. But thanks for joining us for coffee this morning. And we look weird because we have a new light on, and we're trying to figure this out so we can still video in the dark, because I'd prefer just to have it off. I can't stand light, unnatural light. I love natural light. I don't have any curtains on any of my windows. We didn't have curtains on our windows back when we lived in the city. We just had blinds.
We had blinds.
And I hated using them. Did we have blinds in the bedroom? I don't think we did. Anyhow. So today, I have a topic. I was sitting here praying, like, Lord, I don't have a topic. And I'm like, well, I'll just let Timmy come up with something. And I'm like, well, that's not fair to Timmy to put him on the spot when he doesn't know it. So.
Oh, I just start rambling on about a bunch of different stuff, and y'all will probably just like,
no,
this is all over the map.
Well, it actually has to do with water. So water, wow, because I'm writing about this right now as well in one of my blog posts. And about the importance of water when you're going to look for new land. And, that was at the top of our list. We had to have water. And it has been a struggle ever since. Like, we were so blessed by accidentally finding a pipe in the ground. Timmy did when he mowed. And we were ecstatic because it turned out to be an artesian well. And so we called a well company. They came and put a pump on it. And that's how we get a lot of our water. We were crawling down to the creek in a makeshift ladder Timmy built and scooping it out with a 5-gallon bucket and filtering it. And that is definitely a viable resource of water for several months out of the year. It used to be, we have two creeks that we have access to here in our land. One is a seasonal and the other is evergreen. It's all year long. Up until this last little drought, I didn't see hardly a drip coming out.
Yeah, it's been trickling.
Nowhere near a bucket full. But I think, too, that has to do with a lot of the development that's going around us. You can only put so many straws in the cup before it goes dry.
That was a good one.
Well, they're all sucking out the same cup. So anyhow, the whole water thing with us is so crazy important. We have to haul our water. Timmy does. I don't. I have, but I don't. That's all on him. For 3 families. Gavin and Ashton do their own. If you've seen Homestead Rescue, it must have showed recently because we're getting a lot of messages about it. They find us on Facebook. It's like, hey, I just watched your show. We've never seen it. So I'm not quite sure exactly all that it has in it. But we were on Homestead Rescue 2 years ago?
Yeah, September, 2 years ago.
Wow. So 2021. And in there it shows that we have running water and we don't. But it's just a matter of schematics. It's not that we can't, we just don't. However, I will say this. Timmy has been able to use that pump and such. I'm looking at the pipe going across her deck in a manner that we can we did get some gallons out of our artesian well. We're halfway up a mountain from our well to fill our pool, and it kept on running dry way too often, and it wasn't recovering. So I just think that we've got some work to do. But water is really important for everybody. You can't live without it. You need food, shelter, and water.
Yeah, I've noticed in the drought that we've had that the well doesn't recover as quick. And
Even though it's an artesian well.
so I think if we ever get this to a point where we can store more water, that there is a season, the rain season, where it recovers quicker and we can get more water.
Well,
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and I think that's important in preparing, just like getting
Prepping.
the firewood together and
Put-
having that.
Putting your food up
there-
after the harvest.
There is a water season, so
But that said, we also collect all of our rainwater, like every roof line, our bathhouse, our house, the pig pen, all of it. Well, no, they're not the pig pen. That's the one that we want to put it on. Where the chickens and rabbits are, all of them have gutter systems with rainwater collection. There's like hardly a drop that goes wasted around here. And all of this is to lead up to what I wanted to talk about for water. And we'll talk about water again, because even back in Polly's, it was so essential. We were very conservative with what our daughter, not so much. She'd take those 45-minute baths and drain the hot water tank, but we were very conservative with our water. And we rerouted all of our gray water for our irrigation, and we recycled, reused, and repurposed our water. Because there's a limited resource. Out of all the water, if you think about all the water on the planet, it's all the water there will ever be. That's it. Same thing with the land. You can't make new water, so you need to take care of it. And if you taint it and toxify it with chemicals that are water soluble that you can never ever separate, what do you do then? And that's kind of where I was thinking about it. Because I was thinking about water with the rain and how important it is to us. And we're out there looking to see if we're collecting enough water. And our pool is twofold. It helps, well, three actually. It keeps us cool because we don't have AC and we live off grid, and it's very hot here. It was 107 this week. It refreshes us. It entertains us. I mean, Benjamin brought the boys over this weekend, and they had so much fun in there. And it entertains us. And three, it also acts as our emergency water source if we had a fire. There's over 5,000 gallons of water that it holds. It's salt water. We have a salt water system. And although that wouldn't be good for the plants, it is readily available if we need 5,000 gallons of water, because it takes the fire department an insanely long time to get here. And it's hard to get to us too. So we need to have that water source. So it gives us comfort in knowing that we've got 5,000 gallons of water if we need it for that reason. But we're out there watching and checking our water and see. And Lyndon and I, we were talking about rain clouds and where water comes from, and the toxicity of rain sometimes last night. And then I started thinking, Timmy, about when I was talking, we go out to eat. And why won't you drink water? Why do you drink soda?
Oh, I can't bear the taste of the chlorine
And all the other chemicals in it. And it's not just chlorine I taste, it's other chemicals. Fluoride and whatever else they want to put in there. And if you've ever seen a city water pipe, you'll probably never drink it again either. They're rusty old water pipes with Lord knows what caked up on the inside.
Yeah.
It's pretty disgusting. If you have a well, that's so much better, but you're also dealing with hard minerals. But we're talking about when we go out to eat, and we discussed this the other week, how I said it's awful, but we're not used to drinking city water. We collect our water. We have an artesian well, and we still filter it. But when I go to the city, and like the water at our church is the strongest in probably because I'm there most often, that it's more prominent. But I quit drinking it because I said I'm poisoning myself. It tastes and smells like poison. And so I quit drinking the water, and I bring my own, which is, I always bring my own water, but I have to bring more. I drink it there when we ate, and then I'd bring my own and have it, and I'd have just enough for the trip. But this leads me to the point. people are talking lately about, of course, the chemtrails and what they're doing, and then they're seeing how some of the things that they trusted the government on are now causing cancer and they're bad for us, like Diet Coke. You see, remember I showed you the other day that they're finally saying that aspartame that's been in Diet Coke for years and years and years is causing cancer. We all knew that. They're just now admitting it. They're probably admitting it because they need to take focus off of something else, so that's the new thing. But we were talking to a guy at the prepper group, and he was drinking a Diet Coke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so bad for you. And I felt comfortable in saying that because at the prepper groups we talk about all the horrible stuff in the world, so I didn't feel like I was out of place. And he said to me, he's like, I know, but everything is, and it's just I like it. He goes, you can't avoid it. You can't avoid the poison. And that got me thinking, thinking about that scripture that Pastor David was talking about the other week. I can't remember. It was about Daniel. And when the king provided them daily provisions, and God put on Daniel's heart not to eat it, not to defile himself with the king's meat or the king's wine. And then his guard was telling him, he's like, all right, but in 10 days, if you guys aren't healthy, you're going to eat. He's like, or Daniel said that, okay, in 10 days, I give you a deal. I'm not going to eat the king's meat or wine, but in 10 days, if we're not healthy and we look skinny or scrawny, I'll eat it. He gave him that deal. Good morning. Hey, Kathy. Oh, thanks.
Kathy,
She said we look great.
remember
Thanks,
me?
Kathy. She said y'all. She didn't say Amber. She said y'all. So God put on Daniel's heart not to eat the king's, to be defiled with the bread or the wine. And he was completely, in 10 days, he was healthy. He was the same. They actually weighed more and looked better than the people eating the king's portions.
Oh, it wasn't just bread and wine. I'm sure they had some ribeyes.
No, did I say bread? I meant meat. You and your
They
ribeye.
were out there cooking on the grill, seasoning it with a little.
I'll get to the point.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But so when Pastor David had just kind of put those two conversations together recently, and especially my latest on my heart about the water, about it being poison, it's like that food could have or could not have been poisoned. It doesn't matter if God tells you to do something to it. But that man, he's like, oh, I know it's poison and it causes cancer and it's not good for me, but it's in everything. So what are you going to do? I think a lot of Christians have that mentality. It's like the acceptance of sin, being okay with it, being comfortable. Everybody's doing it. It's everywhere. I know it's bad for us. God says not to, but what are you going to do?
Oh, well, I mean, they're saying, oh, well, maybe it won't happen to me. But,
Or, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't affect me, it's not my life, it's their life, it's my friend, blah, 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 blah. We can accept sin. Or let's go a step further, let's go back in your life.
here we go.
No, this is something that you've been dealing with. Come on.
Okay, hit me.
Where God pressed on your heart to quit listening to secular music.
Yeah, well, it's, born and raised, you listen to that stuff and it gets
You're making excuses now. It does. And it goes into you and it goes in your heart. What you subject yourself to. So you got put on your heart not to do that no more. Not to drink of the water.
That's right. And here I am now, and I realize that there's other music out there that it's
better.
It gives you it makes you feel good instead of brings you closer to God instead of moving you away from God. I think, and that's important in today's world. It is.
Well, I think that has to do with everything. So the last couple of weeks we've been talking about toxic food and the importance of growing your own. And we've been talking about water. And the reason why we're talking about these things with y'all over coffee, because it's things that we're dealing with. We just don't research Google and go, oh, what's good to talk about over coffee this week? These are things that we're dealing with in our daily lives. So we share them with y'all. Should have said y'all look great. Thanks, Kathy. Are you better now?
I'm better now. Thank you, Kathy.
So, And that's the reason why, too, I feel a lot of people are being called, especially Christians, because I say especially Christians, because if you're not a Christian, you don't feel the Holy Spirit in your life being called to do something. It's just, that's just how it works. But if you are a Christian and you're feeling being called to homestead, grow your own food, regardless if it's in the city, in the apartment, or out in the middle of the country, there's a reason. And it's not, I don't think it's just because it's preparing you for the season, preparing you for what's coming up. It's also to cleanse you, to purify you, because God knows all of that stuff that you get at the stores and restaurants and all that is toxic. And so I'm sitting here going, oh, I have to drink water. I have to. And so I'll just put lemon in it to cover up the nasty taste of chemicals. I know it's not good for me, but it's better than soda.
You might as well drink lemonade. You still can't get rid of the taste. I mean, we dealt with this when we lived in the city, and it was, I think it wasn't as bad. We knew it was in there, but we got used to it. And that is the thing. Once you get away from it and you start drinking, water that comes out of the ground and you filter it, and, you go to the city and you go out to eat and you get a glass of water and it's like, whoa.
But that's how it is too. For instance, you ever had people go, I don't eat those country eggs. I like my eggs at the grocery store. They taste different. They're too eggy or too gamey or whatever. And they say the same thing with meat. You know why? Because that's how it's supposed to taste. Everything that we're getting at the stores and restaurants is not how it's supposed to taste. It's either raised with chemicals or raised with pesticides or raised, we don't even know if it's meat now. We don't even know what's real. Somebody, was it, Lyndon was talking about 2% milk. I said, honey, that ain't milk. That's not milk. That's just colored water. And so, yeah, there is going to be a difference. But I think, God is drawing us to this life because he wants us to be clear-headed. Just like you were saying about it gets in your head and it makes you feel good. We could apply that to everything in their life. But also, too, when you just said about the water, about when we were in the city, we got used to it, so we accepted it.
Yeah.
Isn't that how sin works? You know, there's just like the things that we see on TV. It started with some risque commercials back in the day, and then it got more. They kept bringing that line back and drawing that line. And now you see people up at the Academy Awards or Emmys or whatever else they're called, Oscars, dressed in literally a bra and underwear, grabbing their hooch, kissing,
naked,
kissing the same-sex people on there, promoting sex, promoting drugs, promoting everything else that's sinful, and we're accepting it because it inched its way into our life, and now it's okay. God's calling us to detoxify our lives, our brain, our body, our environment, because those chemicals, I think the artificial and the toxic draw us away from him.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Academy Awards or whatever, and I think that when they do that and dress like that and their attitude on stage and everything, it's when you start getting the views, when they see the views and they're like, wow, we really, we really brought it in. Yeah, we're popular. That just goes to show them that whatever they're doing is working.
Well, I mean, this is Satan's stomping ground.
Yeah, it is.
But it's our responsibility to not participate. Just like, for instance, that man with that Diet Coke, knowing how it's horrible, knowing that it causes cancer, knowing that it's full of chemicals. I saw a friend of mine that had extreme migraines from it. And she was always she was healthy in every other aspect, but she was always depressed. She was always tired. She always had skin issues. And I'm like, you really need to stop the Diet Coke. And of course, her husband was a doctor. So, what do I know? And she's still doing, now it's coming out, the Diet Coke causes cancer and all this other stuff. Well, yeah, these are nasty man-made chemicals that you're drinking that you're addicted to. And look how miserable I feel that it's made her all of these years. And I think that's too why we need to get away from the commercial standard and not accept it as, Well, how are you going to get away from it? It's easy. You just say no. I mean, I say it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to grow your own food, get fresh mountain water, purify it yourself, listen to Christian music instead of secular music. Because you go to restaurants and grocery stores, they're all playing
It's
the stuff.
everywhere.
It's everywhere. But if you drink from the water of life, which is God's word, instead of drinking from the worldly water, it makes it a whole lot different.
Well, they're definitely giving us a lot more um, influences now and distractions, and that really it's a daily struggle, you know,
Yeah.
for everyone. I think.
Well, that's why you have to stay in the Word daily. Because if you get away from it, I notice that in our lives, if we don't have our morning Bible study together and we're not talking about God's Word together, that day we're fighting, we're tipping. I'm on edge, he's on edge. It's daily.
it affects you.
You need that armor on every single day.
Yeah.
But
If you're not seeing it, you're hearing it, and I mean, you don't even have to have your eyes open, and it's just things that have happened, and it's going through your mind, and you're just sitting there praying. It's like, Lord, please, help me get through this. It's remove these temptations, and
little bug.
it's a struggle.
But I do feel like, for instance, a good starting point to help give you some clarity outside. I mean, first of all, staying in drinking the water of God, His gospel. That's the water. That's the life. Our life's the word. But also is detoxifying your body, your mind. How do you detoxify your mind? Quit watching the crap on TV. Quit listening to the crap on the radio. Quit being around people who are constantly worldly and sinful and not spirit filled. Not that you don't need to be friends with them or share testimony, but don't keep their company all the time because they will bring you down. You won't bring them up. Quit eating toxic food. Quit drinking things that you know are poisoning your body. They are struggles to get away from that, and it's intentional for them to be struggles and addictions, especially like sugar. Carbs. I'm not saying carbs are bad, but the bad carbs, just tons of pizza, French fries, all that kind of stuff. And that way it's easier to fight these other things and have clarity. And there's a reason for it. Kathy was talking about how Homestead Rescue did the water and how it showed the water. They did show water going up in Homestead Rescue, and he showed water coming out. That was water that was brought in from a company. And because they could not, they were here to successfully get water halfway up the half a mile up our mountain. So that's some of the struggles that we've been dealing with. Our artesian well is a half a mile down the mountain. It's 1,500 feet. And where we live is up here. But we've been doing it. We've been functioning successfully for 5 years now. And we just don't have the system in place completely. But yes, the water conservation and the usage and the development around here is a huge concern. That means that we need to be more adamant about collection and purification. It is my goal. I'm hoping it's yours. By the time, when we finally arrived and our house is finished, when we are to that point that we invite others to share our land with them, to show them what we're doing, by then that we will have the full rainwater collection and filtration system set up. Not just bringing water up from artesian well, because, anybody can get a well drilled and pay to have it pumped into their house. But show them how to collect water and filter water and reuse that water. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Is that your goal?
Yeah. I'm all for water, man. Good water.
Well, it's free. Why not collect it?
Free.
Yeah, but that's a problem, Kathy. So, anyways, a lot of what you see on TV is sometimes just for TV. There you go.
I think I was just happy about the.
Well, we thought when they left that we were going to have running water at the house.
Well, yeah, but to see some of the infrastructure go in and getting that, set up, and knowing that hopefully I can take it from there, and get it and put it where I want it and make it work. But
Oh, I'm
And
not saying that we didn't have lessons. We did. I'm just saying how it was for that show. So we still don't have running water here. But it doesn't mean it's not a possibility. We just
yeah,
need to work out the whole uh what supply and demand issues. And then transportation. Hang on. Kathy said, I find that so many people are clueless to the poisons, and you try to tell them, you get labeled conspiracy theorists until it gets posted, until they admit it. Like, what they're saying now, they're saying there's aliens in Area 51, so I no longer believe in aliens or Area 51. I stopped trying to help those that discount my. Yeah, Kathy, that's the discouraging part, and that's probably. Can you imagine how God feels about so many people denying Him after seeing the miracles and everything? I mean, even the people that were right there, that saw Him heal the sick, cure the deaf, raise the dead, and they still deny. That's our unfortunate human nature. And what I do for those people, if they don't want to hear it, then afterwards just pray for them. Just like, Lord, pray that their eyes be open. You gave us free will, but gosh dog it. Why make it so difficult? And you are just trying to help them. But some people don't care either, because I have a very close person in my life that is poisoning her body and her health is failing because of it. And I say that, and she's like, it's what I want to do. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. And this is how I treat myself. And Drew Carey, and I've said this before years ago. Y'all know Drew Carey when he lost all that weight, the stand-up comedian that did he took over for Bob Barker. What was that show?
Barker.
The Price is Right. And he lost a bunch of weight, and he started doing marathons. And he said after every marathon, he would reward himself with a pizza for doing so good and being fit and losing all that weight. And it finally dawned on him, like after he ate the pizza, and how bad he felt, that he wasn't rewarding himself, he was punishing himself. And I feel like that too. Like when I go back on gluten or start eating refined sugars again, the next day, ask him, I'm miserable. And not because of guilt, like I'm physically miserable. And so these things were their addictions, and they've been sold to us like we deserve it, and it is good. I mean, it does taste good. So you have that craving, but it's addictions. And we don't want to give it up because we don't want to be uncomfortable. We're entitled.
I think your body, your inside is just, it gets exhausted from trying to process
The junk.
the junk. Yeah, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? I mean, I don't. Where's it gonna go?
Well, that's why I heard
And
the theory of where tumors come from.
You
'Cause
wake
when I had
up
mine,
and you're like, man, I'm tired. I'm drained.
because your body's been trying to process it all night.
You know?
So, and I just think that it's a constant struggle in my life. I mean, look, I'm overweight, and it's because I've been a glutton, and it's because I've been addicted to sugar and carbs and all the stuff that's bad for me. Doesn't mean that I'm doing it right. I mean, when I'm talking about this stuff, it means that I know that it's wrong and I'm trying to do better, and I need the support of my people, y'all, our group. And that's why we are trying to grow our own food. That's why we do purify our own water. That's why I am trying to stay away from refined sugars. Because they said, do your best till you know better. And then when you know better, do better. And that's where we're at. Don't do your best and then you know better, and then you still go back and don't do better. That's the sad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're not preaching to anyone. I mean,
We're sharing.
We're sharing what we're struggling with, and so it's
Well, it's good to do to know that you're not alone, because that way we can help each other. But I do think that it's our responsibility once we know better to do better. Like, don't accept it, and apply that to everything. If you see sin, don't accept it just because it's there all the time. Don't embrace it. Reject it. Same thing if you know you're drinking Diet Coke and you don't realize it's bad for you, you think it's good for you because it's diet. Then when you're educated and you find out how horrible it is for you, don't keep drinking it. Make that decision to stop. And don't go, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. That's it. He said, well, there's nothing that you can drink. You can. I'm like, yes, there is. You can make your own. You can make your own soda, and it tastes delicious. You can make your own food.
Make some kombucha.
You can make your own kombucha that has natural, healthy probiotics. I mean, there's other options. What you need to say is you're addicted and you don't want to give up or you don't want to be inconvenienced. Those are the truths. Not, well, there's nothing to drink or nothing to eat. It's just, sometimes it just takes longer. That's all. Right?
Where the world will give you all of these choices, and then there'll be like one good choice. And
That's
out
harder
of
to
all
do
of
than all the other
those,
ones.
you will choose the wrong one.
But as far as the water goes, y'all, I am going to start bringing my water everywhere. I do bring my water everywhere I go, but I'm going to make that where I'm not drinking the restaurant water anymore because I just can't. I can't get away from the poison that I smell.
It's a little awkward sometimes when you walk into a restaurant and you're like, I brought my own. They're like,
just tell them they quit poisoning you, then you wouldn't have to worry about it. I mean, I'm sure that goes like, Amber, if you're going to do the water, but you're going to eat the food, that's baby steps, y'all.
They took the food with the water you're drinking.
Baby steps.
We ought
not be going out to restaurants at all if we really wanted to stay healthy. That's just the bottom line. But anyhow, all right, we got to get ready to go to church, y'all. You guys have a great Sunday. If you have any comments, if you have any tips, if you have any thoughts, if you have any hints, please put them in the comments. We see them. We respond if it's a question or a really good idea, and we love the feedback.
That's all I got to say.
You're not going to say the thing you always say?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for putting up with me and her.
Especially me.
Y'all have a good day.
Bye.